like how they handled that Starbuck ending.
So they made sense by saying it didn't make sense and it didn't have to. So therefore, it makes sense. Like,
I know,
you know,
and like
the simplest answer was it doesn't need to make sense.
It goes along with the mystique with God and everything. But then I hate it at the end when Baltar's like, you know, and he hates being called that.
So yeah,
what do you mean, bro? What do you mean?
I don't know. Yeah. Also, Hera didn't matter.
What do you mean?
At all?
Literally Eve.
What do you?
She's literally mitochondrial Eve.
Okay. All right. Sure. So yes, it mattered for that purpose, like to continue the story. But I mean, they would have evolved either way.
She's the mother of humanity.
Already. But that's not even true. There were already humans there, or were those Neanderthals? Because it was 150,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So okay. All right.
Which blended with and died off for humanity to flourish.
So the big thing was, I guess, that she was important for humans and Cylons to keep going too. Wasn't just humans.
Well, I don't. Did she do anything for? Are you okay?
That was just emotional. Rosalind.
Yeah, no, dude. Fucking that whole it felt like 20 minutes of epilogue, and most of it was like emotionally what I needed, but also like I'm sad.
Yeah, I liked Kilo and Athena's story. Mm-hmm. I like that conclusion, and I think Rosalind and Adama were definitely was the best.
Oh yeah,
I'm not a fan of the rest.
I want to know what this plan was from season 1, since Hilo wasn't supposed to be in the show, but he's the father of the most important.
There was no real script. It was just they just literally wrote it as they went.
No, I know how you write scripts like that for a show, but like typically you start for like a story. You should have a story you're trying to tell, and like you don't have to have a conclusion at the start, but like you should have an idea of one. Is it just turmoil Earth?
Yeah.
And that was the whole writer's plan?
So I feel like the whole point of the show felt like it was, you know, all this has happened before, all this will happen again. We start with humans. We know that they have Cylons because it tells us in the beginning. And then that kicks off, you know, the human Cylon war again, which we assume has happened before.
I swear to God, if you recap the entire 4 seasons, I'm going to cry.
No. So what happens is the writers basically had the fact that Cylons come back, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, there's humans that look like Cylons, which is brand new.
But Cylons didn't come back until the past the couple years?
Yeah. So what they did
40 years?
So that they were getting ready, they're preparing their forces for the fight.
150,000 years ago.
And they infiltrated with skin jobs. And we find out that's because of Cavill, you know, inserting. That's because the final 5 came back and then they made Cavill in a bunch and then Cavill took over, and then thus the insertion of Cylons into human society. In between was basically humanity destroyed and then the reformation of humanity after finding Earth again. And then the journey is filled in probably by the writers as we went along in terms of who the Cylons are and whatnot. I think the story is less about like the journey and more like the destination and more about the journey, because for this entire series, it's about the changing of humanity and the, you know, Cylons to become human. And that's what you have to focus on, is how these people who are, you know, so set in their ways are struck by tragedy and how they react and change with it.
Sure. Well, each character has their own story.
Exactly.
Right? Adama's is he'll never love again. And he finally learns to maybe the one person to love again and not be so callous. You know, who else? Baltar is the perfect embodiment that people can change and that you can forgive yourself for making mistakes.
Absolutely.
And others, because despite all of that, he's still in love with Caprica 6. And even though she literally like... it's directly the reason everything bad happened.
Yeah, that's true.
Like literally her. So
it's Cavill, but she was the one that pushed the button. Yes.
Yeah. Well, she was the Trojan horse. Yeah.
Cavill is single-handedly responsible.
Yeah. No, Cavill is the big bad.
Which I did like the writing on that. That we did not know the face of evil until halfway through the show,
and we knew.
We just
him
knew
prior to
it
knowing.
was like what's the word I'm looking for? It was a faceless evil that then had a face.
Yeah, because it was right in front of us, and it seemed like we kind of knew him.
At the pacing, it's actually perfect because that's when you would want to switch.
Yeah, I like that.
He looks like he's the oldest one too. But you can't judge based on that. But then you find out it's the truth that he is the oldest one when Ellen comes back. But I would like to, before we jump into the whole series, talk about at least the 3-parter that occurred, because the battle was absolutely great. I mean, the flashbacks that occurred were interesting.
I just feel bad. You seemed like so.
Fine. I recovered fast from this.
Okay.
It was just a Rosalind thing.
That was tragic and beautiful.
So we have the background stories of these characters just before the tragedy hits, the important ones, and it adds.
I kind of hated it.
I love flashbacks.
I hated it.
Joe hates flashbacks. For those who don't know, Joe doesn't really like especially when it happens.
I just hated the one with Lee and Starbuck. Can we just cut to that? Because I fucking hated that shit.
It just
I hated
shows
that
they have a
whole,
history.
I know, but that's why I don't like flashbacks, is because it could have been like one flashback, but we saw like 3 or 4 little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
It gave us nothing other than that they had always had feelings for each other.
Yeah.
It's the first time they met.
And then we also find out through these that Kara's not afraid of anything except being forgotten, too. Was the biggest thing. She's not afraid of dying and stuff like that. And maybe that's because the entire time she's existed, she's had this purpose of having, to die in order to leave Earth.
How did your dad know this song?
Was Kara God?
No, Kara's not God.
She's an angel.
Or the direct embodiment of whatever the God is.
She's a
and
prophet.
And the father is actual God. Because
no,
they had a physical.
I see what you're talking about.
Kara physically existed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you forgetting that Baltar was banging his angel and physically was banging his angel?
And she was moving him around.
No. Everyone else saw nothing.
Kara could just reveal herself to everyone.
Physical. No, Kara was physical.
You can't. No. What you're trying to do is you're trying to conceptualize with human experience.
They found her dead body.
Entity. I know. You're trying to conceptualize with your human senses divinity, if this is what you're talking about. So if she is divinity, it doesn't matter if she's physical or not, because divinity just could.
I don't want to talk about it anymore. Anyways.
It's interesting.
But no, I don't think it's God.
You think? I mean, God could even be just a sentient AI that controls destiny by producing the Cylons to do certain things. So weaving pulling strings.
If you really
it doesn't have to be like a spiritual being. Although the fact that Starbuck existed and then disappeared kind of leads to.
I mean, if you really want to delve into it, she's the Herald of Death, right? Which is supposed to be like a divine title, more or less.
Which I think is the death of the human race.
Which was we're going Phoenix like, but you can just create an avatar of death and then snuff them out as necessary if you're at a divine level like that. So she could have been put in there, actually born, all that stuff. Her father taught her the thing, which was taught to him by an angel, and then she died. But then they're like, wait, you can't die there.
Yeah, no, she was literally the harbinger of death, not like. She brings death. She is like she can die and be reborn. She was the dying leader the whole time. It wasn't Rosalind. Rosalind didn't bring them to the promised land.
She did.
Kara Thrace brought them there, and nobody asked any questions.
That could be true.
They were just like, "Where'd you bring us?" And then it was boom, Earth.
But she wasn't dying. She was dead.
So there's 3 very.
Yes, but she's the harbinger of death. Because
that's not what that word means.
Harbinger like a herald.
Yeah, but it could be any number of things. I mean, it's open ended. Right? Clearly, she didn't bring around the death of anything.
No,
she brought around the life and continuous,
I thought it was
life.
the death of pure. I thought it was the fact that she brought around. First off, she ended the Cylon human war kind of when she came back. Part of that ended.
She did
because
Baltar did.
But no, when she came back, it heralded the reveal of the final 5 Cylons and Sam and them and the war partially, and allow a truce to be made because the other Cylons that weren't part of Cavil's group joined them, which ends that that heralds the death of that.
Well,
I think she was the one,
and then allows the melding of them together, which allows them, Hera to be saved, and with Hera being saved, that heralds the death of humanity because they're going to interbreed Cylons with humans as much as they can. Because we find out that when humans and Cylons interbreed, they're basically like super body.
That's kind of the interpretation I'm going with. Is that if she's the harbinger of death, she's the harbinger of the death of old humanity, allowing for new humanity to flourish.
Yes, and new humanity could be
Which
Cylon
is where
hybrids. Or it could be even the ones that we see on Earth, like the tribes people that they breed with, because they were talking about like the fact that they're compatible. It doesn't need to be just that, but like it's just the fact is.
I love that joke.
What?
Baltar being like they're compatible,
and Adama just being like, and you have no sense of humor.
Oh, it was an interesting. The whole first part being mostly flashbacks was a little bit. It's interesting to find out. Like Rosalind, I really thought that.
I know why they did it for like so that you felt extra emotional for the finale because you like all these people you've been with for 4 seasons. It's like let's just add more emotional trauma.
Like
it just didn't really do anything for me though.
Well, that's your own problem. Me and Mikey had emotions. You're a Cylon.
The Rosalind one made me feel bad for her and maybe kind of shed some light on who she is as a person because she lost her family to like that. And then I don't understand the whole dating or going out with that one guy thing. I don't understand what that revealed
It was
to her.
supposed to be moving on with your life, and then she realized it's not what she wanted to do. So then she went and signed up for the campaign with Adar, which brought her to that moment for true happiness.
Okay, that's
what I'm going with. I don't know if it was the best way to get there, but it works.
Adama's made sense though, because Adama's was him trying to they were trying to make him retire, but he didn't want to, it seems like.
They're gonna give him a cushy government job.
Yeah, they were gonna give him a cushy desk job, and he was like, I don't want to sit behind this and do a test. If you don't trust me, put me on a shitty Battlestar. And as a result, he survived.
He would rather stay.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
He basically said, if you don't believe in me, just put me on the crappy shit.
That's a boomer attitude if I've ever.
And I love it because that's what saved him. And then the whole situation, we find out from prior episodes too. Like the reason why Ty doesn't retire is because Adama does't retire. And Ellen's the whole time she's like, I'm so happy to retire and spend my entire life with you now. And it's like, actually, my best friend just re-enlisted and he wants me as the XO. But like the whole thing is you could look at this potentially as like one of two things. It could be all this has happened before and all that happens again. Like it's like Adama is one of the leaders who like does something to survive, or you could look at it as God potentially as they move towards God at the end of this series. I'm kind of like I'm mostly a science guy, but I'll let the TV show say what it wants, and it's saying maybe God potentially made these characters do their actions that put them in the places that allowed them to keep humanity going, and this time, maybe humanity won't be revisited by Cylons and destroyed, especially because they got rid of all their spacefaring stuff.
Well, fair.
But then fair. Sure, but
it's not a sci-fi. Like, it's not a sci-fi show. I thought it was a sci-fi show.
It is a sci-fi.
And sure, it's like a sci-fi show, but it's not.
Go on, I'm ready to hear
It's
this.
not really a sci-fi show.
Okay, go on.
Are you saying it's sci-fi fantasy?
Yeah. It's sci-fi, like, or whatever else you want to
God is included now?
Well, only because, like, I'm not saying that. I mean, like, The Expanse is also sci-fi.
What if God was an AI giant?
Yeah, where you going with this isn't sci-fi. Me and the viewers want to know about this.
I just feel like
where's the not
it doesn't end
fiction?
like logically, and they dealt with it via religion, which is totally fine. It just makes it feel like less of a sci-fi to me.
It makes it feel like potentially
because it's not like
strike got it. Like it got hit by the writer's strike. Like some other shows did it this time. This was around the time.
I thought it was really good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying the ending made me feel like it was less of a
there was a lot of plot holes. Like for example,
only because sure, the Daniel thing. I mean, the comments explained that was just like an oopsie that they just kind of rolled with, which is totally fine. I don't know, because obviously, yes, there are sci-fi elements, and it is overall like a space opera. So I guess maybe it's more of a space opera.
It's more of a space drama.
Space drama.
Right?
Drama.
Like
it's a space drama.
I'm not saying again.
It's still sci-fi, but like, it's a space drama.
What I was trying to say was I had been watching it, treating it as like just a true sci-fi, like all of these
they didn't even fire a laser.
These will all end logically.
How can it be sci-fi without pew pew?
Everything
lasers?
will have a logical, like scientific or however you want to put
I
it,
disagree
explanation.
with that. I disagree with that qualifier. Pretty much everything I think of as sci-fi, the way it ends, it's not fucking logical. It's some fucking mysticalness or fucking the human spirit, like one or the other. We'll pick one to end your sci-fi on.
And then
Human spirits.
Indomitable human spirit. God, I'm so.
That's what this one is. This is the indomitable human spirit.
I know it is.
Sure.
I know it is, and it's a great message to tell people. But I want a different.
I was gonna chime in. Sorry, to go back to the flashbacks. I hate flashbacks immensely, and I felt like it was too much. But I did really like that they all had the same theme of like they all revolved around making one random decision in the moment, and it leading them all the way to their fate / future and the rest of their lives. Like Adama, in that moment, it propelled him to where we saw him at,
which is fair
in the show.
Yeah, which is fair.
Same with
what about
Lee and Kara.
Yeah, how'd they end up there with that being
also? I don't know. I didn't love the writing there because she was like so attached to Anders, but it was so complicated, and she cheated on him, and then she didn't give a fuck about him, and then she loved Lee, and then it went back, and then she loved Lee. I don't know. It was just kind of confusing. I mean, I understood her connection to him at the end.
Just a toxic person.
And yeah, so I don't know. That was interesting.
Now, I will say, the first episode was a little bit more one of those, like, the one thing I would say is you could have probably cut it down to like the last bit where they put the tape on the ground, and then they're like, who's joining me? That would have been a great way, besides that, maybe the flashbacks, if they were cut back down a little bit. I understand they were trying to flesh out some characters, but the last episode, or give some backstory to some things, but I don't think, like you said, like the episode before, like the finale or the two-part finale isn't really like a good one to do so. It's more for one, I feel like if we reflected on some things that happened during the series, or if like the characters had like a little like, moment where they were getting ready for like the last battle, sure. But we only got like 10 minutes of that because that's when Adama decided that he was going to save the day.
Yeah.
And it's okay. That weakened a little bit for me, but then once 2 and 3 hit, like the second one especially with the fight on the colony was amazing.
Yeah. I'm not going to nitpick anything in particular, even though I kind of already did with the flashbacks and everything.
Calling it not a sci-fi.
Yeah, that was wild. I so many.
I meant like not a true. To me, it's not a true sci-fi.
What's a true sci-fi?
We can't really discuss that because you might spoil something.
There's no true
sci-fi. You're too crazy. All right,
I don't know.
Sci-fi space drama.
I was going to say I really like the ending to everyone's stories and the overall story and how they like tied in the whole slogan one last time of everything has happened and will happen again, and the cycle repeats itself.
It kind of felt that Baltar 6 scene was filmed like at the beginning with how like the chemistry was with the angels.
I think the angels.
It felt like it was like that was shot at the beginning because the chemistry on screen was such a stark contrast to like what we saw at the like when they're walking through Africa. I don't know. It felt like it was from a completely different years prior.
Maybe it's because they're angels.
Well, because they're not in love.
Yeah, they're not in love. They're not angels. So
sure. But like,
co-workers.
I mean, it could just be like I don't know.
I will say
maybe it's great action.
To finish I liked how everyone's stories ended. I liked the overall. I liked them getting rid of technology and the ships and like just trying to simplify their lives and just enjoy living, which I think is great.
Right.
I just didn't like the Kara conclusion. That's it.
Which is totally valid to have.
Oh, and even like I said, they did a good. It makes sense because it doesn't have to make sense.
Right.
So it makes sense.
Right.
But I just feel like there was so much stuff over the course of the show, and
how else are they going to explain that she came back from the dead? If she's not a Cylon, she's got to be literally like, God put her there. There's no other way that she can just revive her.
It's honestly,
it is funny because we actually got to see at some point in the finale of a scene with Leoben where I don't fucking remember it. He has like blood on his face and he's like, "You're an angel, Kara." And I was like, when did he say that? Because I don't remember him saying that.
You must have been sleeping.
I don't know. I don't remember that, but there was like a 2-second clip of that.
No, I know what you're talking about. I don't.
And it was like, when the fuck was that from?
I don't recall it either, because the only thing I remember from Leoben and Kara interacting in relation to her, like, post finding her dead body was him freaking out and running away.
Yeah, which I hated that they did that, because like part of that he's obsessed with her and trying to like play house with. I don't know. It's just a lot of it's just confusing to me, and
Because he used to
felt like it was just a bunch of misdirection, which is fine. But then the ultimate payoff was it didn't need to make sense.
Well, it makes sense, him running away, if he realizes she's an angel, because it's like a monkey who's like chasing after a person, but then the person like makes big loud noise or lights a fire, and then the monkey's like, I gotta go. That's freaky.
and also
So like that kind of makes sense.
you can imagine that he's also on the base
He's like, my puny brain can't understand.
But how did he even know she was special?
because he's listening to the hybrid talk.
Yeah.
The hybrid talks, and it probably says Kara Thrace's name, and he's probably sitting there talking to it, and it says her name, because it said it to Shaw in that Razor movie without Kara Thrace being present. She was helping do stuff, but she wasn't in the room when it said it. It said Kara Thrace is the harbinger, but will lead humanity to its death or destruction, and it's a whole big thing that the Leoben model is religious, very religious. He was so
True. Yeah.
So maybe they get their religion from their hybrids, because the hybrids speak in like metaphors, which can be construed as like passages.
I like this.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's how he knows. But then once he finds out that she's not just a harbinger, but she's a being on a higher level because she's been killed and reborn, and she's not a Cylon, he realizes that she's way above him, and
Well, it's like does not compute.
Or he has a crisis because
Does not compute.
Yeah, because he's like, well, you should be dead. That doesn't make sense. So he leaves. The whole like I feel like there was like a whole like she could have been a Cylon for the longest time. I feel like that was done intentionally because they wanted us to know that there was resurrection from Cylons. So if she resurrected, she's a Cylon. But then we find out that she's an angel, and that's why she resurrected potentially, which makes me wonder too if the way that the original Cylons got resurrection technology was through angels giving it to them, like head tech, like the heads, like teaching them how to build and stuff like that.
Sure.
Because God,
I don't know. I mean, she got a brand new ship, so that makes sense because whatever. But
it was a brand new exact copy.
Yes. So that happening explains how randomly a piano showed up at the bar.
It was a real piano.
Because it just went from no piano to piano, and I just wonder because it was like how did piano randomly show up?
What plot holes? It's God's will.
Yeah, exactly.
The biggest plot hole was the Daniel thing, because I think they accidentally misnumbered how many Cylons there were.
Yeah, which was a little disappointing for me, but whatever.
Maybe it's like SEAL Team 6, where that was like the second or third SEAL team, so that it seemed like they had more SEAL teams. So that they named Boomer 8 so that you thought there was more and you couldn't tell.
Yeah, I think that was potentially.
And then they threw that idea.
That makes sense. Or there was just like a mistake in writing, and they had to cover it up because the fans.
How do you just?
And then once I mentioned Daniel, the fans were like, "That's Starbuck's dad because he's artistic and Starbuck draws." And then the creator of the series is probably like, "No, stop! Wait, what have I done?" Head cannons coming out of nowhere.
I thought a lot more people were gonna die. So we had Rosalind, Father Cavill, Tori.
We'll talk about all that.
Oh, and Boomer.
We'll talk about Death Boomer. But I mean, you have to think also
Anders. If you're counting Rosalind, Anders.
Yeah.
How many people died
in the last battle?
Well, leading up to this too, because in this season alone, we lost Tom Zarek, and we lost Gata. We lost D.
How did Tom Zarek die? I forget.
Executed.
Firing squad.
Oh yeah,
we lost a bunch of people during the uprising. So there was a lot of people who died, and remember, the people who joined them on the mission weren't like, there was a bunch of no names that joined.
There was no return.
Racetrack came, but she fired a missile by accident. But I mean,
she did it on purpose.
She got hit by a rocket, and she went, "Oh shit!" and then she hit it. That's what happened.
Wait, are you?
No, she didn't.
Are you talking about the fucking when they nuked the colonies?
Did she get by an astral?
No, she was dead.
She
got bounced and her hand fell and launched the missiles, guys.
No.
That's what happened.
She's dead.
She righted the ship. She was dying, but the ship was flying away.
Her hand flopped.
Spins around.
The hand flopped.
Yeah,
Her hand flopped.
Her dying movement.
I think she was already dead because she was just staring when we looked at the cockpit, and it was cracked. Her mask was
I
cracked.
think it was an accident.
Yeah, no,
I think she did it.
No, that was definitely just like.
That was God's will.
That was God's will. Exactly. The hand of God touched me.
See what else? I mean, it was the entire whole like idea of that they put the colony ship inside of a black hole and they have to jump into the black hole was absolutely crazy. Like that is, if anything, the most sci-fi thing I've ever heard is where's the secret evil robot enemy's base located?
On the edge of a black hole.
On the edge of a black hole. And when you jump in, all their giant blaster turrets are pointed right at you and they're, ready to go. And it's like, okay, well, it's a suicide mission one way anyway, but like in the most crazy fashion ever because like they did that twice. They gave us.
Can black holes have Lagrange points like that?
I don't know, but
I can't believe still that you didn't say anything about them ramming a spaceship into another spaceship.
I love that.
Really? I thought you hated that.
Now, I will say, I like the whole settling thing. I like the idea that instead of using technology, they started over from scratch because
I did too. I like that.
Kind of spoils them. And this journey has been about finding yourselves. And, they have everything they need to survive here. But like at the same time, they don't have the resources to reproduce these machines once they're destroyed because they don't have the complex machinery required to build spare parts and stuff like that. So, why rely on things that will eventually be destroyed? You take all the supplies, medicine and et cetera that you have, take all the knowledge you have on how to make it, but start your own, like almost, colony sim type thing. It's almost like a game.
Dude, what do you mean?
Scratch. I love it.
Baltar
they
started
stuck to
religion, and Coddle definitely started druidic medicine, and we got
whatever colony got, Coddle won.
We have a doctor.
I love how Adama also established a house on a hill, on a mountain. I'm sorry, with Rosalind's grave, and my headcanon is that's where he stays until he passes away.
Yeah,
hunting giant sheep.
I don't even think that's headcanon. I think that is canon.
That is canon.
That's what we kind of everyone said.
And I love how we have a happy ending finally for Sharon and Hilo, Athena and Hilo, because they make it to the planet and they have their family. Hilo does what he says. He gets the kid back. He said, they keep him safe.
Yeah, Boomer's story was sad.
Boomer's story was sad too.
Also not a fan of like the flip flopping, but I mean it served the purpose to the story.
Did we get a post credit for Tyrell? We just saw him crumpled on a floor, and then like
we did. They were in the grass.
He's in the colony,
and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go be a hermit."
Oh yeah, he's going to Iceland or
that's right,
or something.
He's going like somewhere.
Literally, I'm gonna go. I'm done with people. And silence.
I'm gonna go be a hermit.
His name's Galen, so I imagine he went to like some sort of like
somewhere in Britain,
Scotland, Ireland.
My only thought in that scene, I was like, "Bring a jacket."
Well, he's a silent
have a jacket.
He does.
He can still die.
You're right.
Exposure takes you regardless of if you're a human or a machine.
That's right. Now, I do really also, I really liked how they have two Earths. The first Earth they went to, we got baited because we thought it was our Earth when we arrived. We're like, oh my God, look, it's Earth. And then the second time we find Earth, we're like, oh, that clearly is Africa. It's like,
I know, Mikey, you said that like 4 times. You're like, it's Africa. Look, Africa. They're landing. It's the cradle of
well, that's why it's so important
humanity.
Because we're landing where the cradle of life.
Yeah,
was.
no, that was a good catch.
I didn't expect this entire series to end, which I liked how it ended with humanity being born because all this happened before and all this happens again, and it's just humans settling and reproducing. We, our own headcanon, how Gaius Gibraltar built the Sphinx and the pyramids.
I was just joking about that.
Paula is an apostle, all that stuff.
His children, probably.
His children. It's a lot of fun, and I like to think too that at a certain point in my own headcanon that Six and Baltar had a baby because of love, finally, and that baby and Hera maybe are the ones that are the two Adam and Eve, basically.
They can only jump so far, right?
Who?
Like the Galactica?
Yeah.
Like there's like an actual limit, right?
I don't.
There was.
Because that's why like they have to do like jumps and they had to go to that one like dangerous field and whatever.
Titanium refinery.
They one jumped from where the Cylon colony was to Earth. But it was 100 million light, some ridiculous number of light years away.
Did it say that?
What do you mean? That it's all.
It was like 1123 blah blah blah.
Yeah, those are the coordinates she punched in. But like, we've been shown through like the series that like it can only jump so far.
Yeah, but where did you see a distance?
They said we found it 100 million whatever light years away from Cobalt.
Oh,
They said a distance. Maybe I'm fucking mixing it up, but that's where I'm like, why was the colony one jump away from New Earth?
It just ran above Earth.
Kara was with them.
But like, why was the colony 100 million light years away from where? I don't know, man. I don't.
Don't worry, because
I found a detail to get fixated on.
What I didn't understand is why did the Cylons know the song? How did that have any relevance?
What do you mean? It's the divine song. They were all on a divine mission.
Wasn't that a song that they...
That's how they got to Earth.
Yeah.
Because the Cylons had the song, which then they went and created the Cylons that killed humanity. I
don't even want to think about it.
They then sent her out, and then she knew the song.
Am I misremembering?
It just doesn't make sense.
Did Sam write the song?
It's just the divine song.
Am I just remembering that Sam didn't write the song? He wrote a song.
Sam knew the song.
Well, he wrote a song for someone.
He did.
Yeah, when people talk about the divine
he had learned how to play the song.
So maybe him playing the song is the last memory they had before the nukes went off, potentially too. So when they hear,
I thought that was what happened.
That's what happened.
So they just made it the same song that Kara used to get to Earth.
Because
there's like this thing, like there's like divine numbers and frequencies and all this bullshit in nature. So like maybe
Jimi Hendrix, on the Watchtower.
Maybe that's just the divine song.
By the way, I don't
know.
I made the mistake of saying it's a Jimi Hendrix song.
I know. I know.
Who cares? It's Bob Dylan.
But Bob Dylan even said Jimi Hendrix version's better.
Yeah.
I just wanted.
It's his
Oh Jesus!
Okay?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
I'm flailing.
Thank you for acknowledging, but it's Jimi Hendrix. Okay.
Yeah. I'm the one who noticed what song it was.
I think I'm ready to move into the series discussion.
But not a serious one.
We didn't do death.
What do you mean?
We didn't really. So Boomer death.
We'll talk about death. So Boomer,
just because those all occurred now.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, we talked about Rosalind.
So
I think
a lot of these deaths will have good conversations. I think you're right.
I think we're good on Rosalind.
Rosalind's death is fine. It's very emotional. Rosalind and Battlestar Galactica had a parallel of both being the love of Adama's life, but also being the dying leader that arrived at Earth just in time and died as they arrived.
Sure.
So that's a great parallel.
Brain in there. But yeah.
Well, regardless, there's two Earths technically. Battlestar Galactica brought them to this Earth, and Rosalind brought them to the first one. That's what I'll say. Now, that was a great way to see it out too. I love seeing that Rosalind is a dying leader, and I like seeing that also. You said Starbuck was a dying leader. That was a great one.
Well, I did. That's just how I'm looking at it because she
did lead him,
and she died more than once.
Yeah. Now the first death, Boomer's death, was a pretty big revenge death that we all saw coming. We all saw it coming though.
Well, I wanted it to happen.
That was good closure. That was really good closure that she got to kill her.
Especially because it was a 8 killing an 8.
Well, more specifically, Athena
killing Boomer.
Yeah.
After all she did to her.
I feel like she redeemed herself, but not enough to.
No, I know.
Like stop Athena from.
It was too little, too late.
Yeah.
She only did it out of love for Tyrell.
Well, because you also have to remember, if there was another option other than like. Clearly, Athena wasn't going to let Boomer come back with them.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, yeah, come on. It's like, what do you...
You've caused me nothing but pain and
She was going to die either way.
In regards to her, we got a flashback this episode where she was talking to Ty and Dama, and they were like, you're not a good pilot at all, which is hilarious because she's pretty decent now. But what it seems like
Boomer was the best pilot by the time we
best Raptor.
That's what I'm saying.
What
she took that to heart.
Yes, exactly. But what I wanted to bring up is the fact that it seems like the Galactica was a ship for the Misfits, kind of.
That's what they say. Yeah. Throughout the season. Yeah.
And it exemplifies that where Dama has a soft spot for people that are trying but still like not able to do it, which could relate to the fact that he lost his son Zach in an accident like that. So he doesn't find out though until. Starbuck tells him that she approved later on in the series that happened. But there's the whole fact is because Adama allowed Boomer on the ship, because of his soft spot.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
all, like,
And he
wrong
cut her
spot.
slack.
He cut her
sure.
slack,
I
and
didn't love
she
that though,
tried to
because
shoot
I
him.
thought she was referring to the whole time she shot and tried to kill him that she owed him one. But she was like, no, before that.
When I was undercover.
So she kind of owed him too. But she made up for it, I guess. So
Kind of, by saving her.
I also thought that was fucked up because when she said that, the first thing I thought, I was like, she just said like, fuck you, Athena. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't feel bad about anything I did for you. I did this for Adama because I owed him one from years ago when he was nice to me. And I was like, damn, well, okay.
Which was crazy.
So I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Glad Boomer died.
The second, Tori's death was crazy because... So we will get to that. So it involves a little discussion about how there was that, the stance, basically the holdout inside of the CIC after the Opera House finally came together, which was a crazy. That was amazing.
That was good.
That was done.
Yeah,
that was done fantastic.
That was good.
So it was amazing to see everything come together finally, especially with Rosalind and Athena running in the hallways, and then Baltar and Six actually saving her and bringing her to the CIC, which was the Opera House, which was the CIC.
Yeah,
great because it is the main stage with all the big players.
It does make sense.
It's so good, and it's where all the action happens, and then all of a sudden, when you arrive there. Cavill's there already, and he has like everybody held hostage, kind of, but not fully because they repelled the attack. He tried to. Looks like he.
No, Cavill was caught, and then he broke.
He had a gun to Hera's head.
No, he tried to do that. He tried to assault the CIC, but failed, and then was held hostage, and then. Because of the explosion, he grabbed Hera, which is crazy because it was, such a scumbag move, but it's such a thing of him to do. And I like how the one thing he did want is just a furthering of his people. He is trying to look out for his Cylons. So, even though he is a terrible being towards the Cylons that are robotic, the ones that followed him, he is a benevolent leader because he is trying to give them life.
He didn't care about any of them.
No, he did. The ones that followed him, he did.
I don't think so.
Like this what's it called? The Simons, I think.
I don't think he gave a fuck.
I think he did.
I think it was just he didn't want to die.
I don't know. I think he cared about all the Cylons until they started breaking away and becoming individuals.
Well, but you have to remember, he was a puppet master. He was loving, like, everything had been going according to his plan, air quotes.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, he just didn't want to die, I think.
Which is true. But he also wanted to further the Cylons because he didn't want the Cylons to die off, too.
Yes, yes. But because he had pretty much become their guardian / creator, whatever.
Which was pretty crazy. Now, we see that because of that, there's the whole standoff, and they promise to give them, the Cylons, the Final Five promise to give technology, which requires a melding of minds, which who was it, Mike pointed out that Tori was going to pop up as the murderer?
Callie is going to...
Yeah, we're all sitting there, I'm like, but it's so funny because she's like, you guys are sure you're, like, pinky promises? We're cool.
And you guys
cool?
are like, what is
it's like, did she double check or like his fucking toilet? What did she do? And then you're like, oh, Callie. And I was like, right, fuck. I did love that was relevant because I definitely had said, like, I don't understand why this was in the show and why it's relevant. I mean, it was good, like, an interesting episode.
Tyrell needed to kill her and break the thing because they couldn't give resurrection.
Because, like I said, they all had a part of it in their memory, and in order to give it, they had to combine the memories. That was done so that not one single one of them couldn't be held hostage and used like that. And as a result, they have to meld minds. And we see how vicious, and vindictive, Tyrell is, which was a whole, amazing scene with the grabbing and breaking of the neck. Now, I love that very much.
Tori really never got
so in character.
Redeeming.
No,
she was never redeemed.
Corey came in as a character.
She was kind of like a bad person.
She came in as a character who was looking for a type of. It felt like
they're people too.
Tori was looking for.
Now they are.
Something to believe in or a cause or something.
Sure, a lost sheep, yada yada.
Or an identity. She wanted an identity.
Sure, and I don't.
She suffered from lack of identity.
Yeah,
but like she became the worst.
But what I did love is that after
she kind of like I'm trying to look for some redeeming character in Tori and I can't find it.
She didn't.
No, she didn't have any.
Because like she's a murderer.
Also, the moment she knew, she was like, fucking humans.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go.
She's an elitist.
Ellen had one.
I like
Ellen had more redeeming.
Ellen's ride or die.
Ellen did have more redeeming qualities.
Ignoring literally everything about her, the story progression, she was ride or die.
Aside from the whole causing the miscarriage thing, is still like
Sure. Yeah. She's not a saint, but like
I hate her for that.
She has redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
Same with Ty. Same with
her and Ty were meant to be together.
Tyrell.
Yeah.
Same with all of that. Tori, maybe we're misremembering. Maybe we have blinders on. Don't know. Can't remember a single thing that she's redeeming for.
I just can't believe I was rooting for Baltar to like die by the end of the show because I was really hating where his character
He was the chosen
going.
one.
But I really liked his ending and his overall like story arc. Other than like
he redeemed himself.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked his story.
He besides,
I can't believe I'm going on the record that I now once again like Baltar.
Good. Baltar's best character.
He had a really great character arc.
He was such a piece of shit for like 2 straight seasons.
He's got the most entertaining character arc, whereas Hilo has the most rewarding character arc.
Baltar is also the most important character on this show.
He is.
Without him, this show doesn't happen.
Well, he knew
the whole show.
He knew Boomer was the
entire
time.
No.
Yeah.
Without Gareth Thrace,
none
of that.
No, without Gareth Thrace, they don't get to Earth. The whole show is driven by
without Gareth Thrace. Hilo stays on Caprica.
Okay.
Anders never gets off of Caprica.
They all are on this voyage because of Baltar. And then they have the whole scientist arc, the whole presidency arc. Baltar's the main character here. Baltar is the reason. Baltar is just, falls off.
He's the answer when you have a question.
He's 80% of the show where he's like this, and then as he slowly starts to fall off with his cult, Gareth Thrace is like, oh wait, I'm relevant now. She popped up. It was a blip over here. I'll give it to her.
I'll say yeah.
But like Baltar is the driving force of both. Like we love Adama, we love the president. They were the top. They were pushing everything along. Baltar's antics are is realistically why the show went the way it did.
And his character, I liked his character battling to try to change and do better. But I love that it was so on brand with Lee being like, no, I don't fucking trust you, you fucking rat. What do you mean? And he's like,
why?
That one scene like 2 episodes ago where he's like, you know what? I forgot about all that. You're right. You shouldn't trust me.
That's why.
So he finally like had some perspective of the massive asshole he had been for the first 3.5 seasons.
Well, that's what I really like about him and the president on the Raptor when they're going to the base star is they're like, hey, kind of a shitty person. This is the personas. And they're like, yeah, absolutely. And it's just like, it's like a moment of like quiet, begrudging respect for each other for like the showmanship they have to put on while still being like, fuck you.
Well, I love that the last 10 episodes or 11 episodes, the show really starts making fun of itself too. Like it made fun of itself multiple times in the finale. Specifically Adama pointing out, what did he say?
With Baltar? They have a party. Something about having a party.
Party?
You think with all the women or something? Because they found out they're breedable?
No. It was before that. Like, I don't know. I just felt like they were able to poke fun at themselves and not take it.
They did. I mean, they smoked weed in the hospital, and that was like a scene I felt like that was kind of poking fun of itself a little bit. Even though the president's dying, you still have like the 2 most in charge people of the fleet like
just getting high,
and it's great.
Being corrupt and breaking rules.
And
Baltar was right about the people in power.
And all Dama does is close the curtain slightly, and I was just like, sir, smell. But I really did enjoy. There were some things that don't make sense, but if we're going through, I'll say I don't really care too much about that because all along the journey itself, from beginning to end, was pretty great. And I enjoyed, all the characters. Now I enjoyed hating some characters. I enjoyed loving some characters. I enjoyed the redemption arcs other characters got. And I feel like just like the cast of the Galactica, we learned to trust Athena in real time, just like they did, because we didn't trust her, and she proved herself. And then we were like, she can be redeemed. And then while we were waiting potentially for a switch to be flipped, we realized that she was true to her word, and there was no switch to be flipped. And then we were along for the journey of like figuring out what the Cylons were. I think when shows have mysteries like that, like who are these people, is the most fun. Like who's the big baddie, etc. Like who are the final 5, or who are the Cylons on board? That was fun because a lot of our great moments came from the whiteboard.
Yeah, and it's astounding, Mikey, because you guessed upon us meeting Anders that he was a Cylon.
And Ellen.
And Ellen. Immediately. Like, Ellen literally came on the screen and he's like, that bitch is a fucking Cylon if I've seen it.
She was introduced to me.
She was also saying, like, no, she's number 6. She's just old. Remember that? But I mean, outstanding that you guessed both of those. So none of us ever saw Ty coming.
No, Ellen was.
I don't think.
No, I don't think.
I don't think that was possible.
Tori was not.
Tori. No, I don't even. Whatever.
You were like half right by guessing Billy.
Yeah.
Tyrell got us off the radar because.
Tyrell, yeah, I don't think we saw Tyrell or Ty. We did a really good job.
Tyrell was off the radar.
I think I think I put Tyrell down like a little bit before the reveal, but before that, you know.
Let me look. Hold on, I'm gonna look at the whiteboards. I have them all. So
I guess Gata, but Gata just ended up being a fucking turncoat,
a human supremacist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All of my theories are wildly all over the way wrong.
Okay, so this was episode 5. Episode 5 of season 1. Our guesses. We knew about Sharon, Six, Doral, and the stranded dude. We didn't know his name was Leoben. Now,
stranded.
Mike said we did not meet one yet at the end of episode 5,
which is wrong.
Joe said Billy. And I said Billy, and then the ones that we thought were not ones was Adama, Starbuck, Hilo, and we didn't know his name yet, but I wrote the Colonel.
So Ty.
Yes.
So we were doing pretty good.
And then for 8, 9, 8 we.
Well, let's speed this up.
I have 8 for the season. So 8, 9 is Adama.
I'm still just
Starbuck
on
and
the
Adama.
Billy train.
That's when we found out that from the interrogation that Adama's a Cylon, which was just a whole misdirect. But that's where you came up with the theory that Starbuck wasn't Adama, and therefore Starbuck is a Cylon.
She wasn't anything. She was.
Listen,
she was.
I threw a dart way over there, and even though I didn't hit the board, I was in the right quadrant while you guys are shooting on this wall.
And the next episode, Ellen is introduced, and in big letters, I wrote Ellen.
You did.
Because I hated her because the way she
got the first out.
Because at that point, we knew.
Oh, it's like so convenient.
We knew the 2 Cylons were honeypot bots because we learned Sharon was a Cylon and she was dating Tyrell.
You can explain this however you want. I will never be able to follow your process here. The thing that was sus is she popped up out of nowhere.
It was just
it was good instinct.
But they even wanted us to think she was a Cylon just to kill her off and be like, oh yeah, she wasn't. You guys are stupid. And then for them to be like,
plot twist,
idiots. Of course she's a Cylon.
Now, the next one comes from season 2, episode 5 and 6. Mike guesses D. You guess Gata. And I put Anders on there, Billy, Anders, and Ellen. We put Adamas and Starbuck for some. Yeah, we put Starbuck back on the not a Cylon list for some reason. I think it's because she confronts the other Cylons, and as a result, whenever they confront another Cylon, we're like, whenever a human confronted a Cylon, we were like, okay, they can't be one because they didn't react in a way. That was our original thought. I guessed Anders because I thought it was sketchy that the leader of the revolution.
I even heard your understanding, but at some point in time, like just some things just didn't make sense for. I mean, he wasn't.
Well, the reason why
wasn't as like the final 5 reveal. Yeah. Like
we didn't.
Yeah,
I took him off the list because he kills Deanna, and when he kills Deanna, I'm like, well, she didn't recognize him, so clearly he's not a Cylon.
Really? Because I feel like you were still kind of saying something, and I was like, dude, you killed Deanna. What are you talking about? And you were like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, I was kind of.
I feel like I
was just so sketched that way he survived and how important a character who survived on Caprica was. I felt like there was either one of 2 things. Well, he did end up being Kareth Race's lover, but the other thing was, like he has to be some sort of like skin job implant because of the fact that he works for the Resistance and he's like the leader of it, so it makes him the least obvious. And originally, when we get introduced to Simon, I thought that Anders was feeding women to the Cylons.
Yeah. Oh, that was a fucking weird.
Because we find out they were trying to make babies, but they couldn't do it without love. Weird. Now for the next one, this is. I took Anders off, and it's just Ellen.
Plus, like all that shit's still going on.
Let me see.
What?
Like the other Cylons of those models. Doing the thing.
Are they?
No, I think they got the same orders because they have like a kind of. I think the hybrids communicate with each other, and then when the hybrids communicate, it passes the message along to the Cylons, which is how Cavill communicates with all the Cylons to do the ceasefire is he communicates with the hybrid, which then passes the message along neurally.
I don't know.
Jumping all over the place here because this is what we do on this channel. Thank you.
Well, we're finished with the episode discussion.
We still had deaths to go over, namely Cavill just killing himself.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, I thought that was mad weird, but I guess he
thought we
just didn't
talked
want to
about
be
that, yeah.
Cap.
We didn't talk about that.
No, he just killed himself because he didn't want to get caught, I think, and he gave up kind of thing. He thought it was futile. He ran the odds in his head.
I don't like that. I didn't.
It was out of pocket. Yeah.
I saw the Marine setting up behind him. I thought the Marine was going to shoot him from behind.
Yeah, no, it was. I don't know why that was the choice. I mean, I guess so.
Yeah, makes sense.
But like, what?
It makes sense to me. Ken.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know.
Shocking. Absolutely caught me off guard.
I think it's also because once Tori's dead, there's no longer a way to get resurrection technology. So therefore, everything.
And he hates his body.
Sure. I mean, I also found it really funny because they let so the colony's dead, right? Like the Cylon colony is destroyed.
Yeah.
But they were like, "Oh, Centurions, here, take the spaceship and go fly through the cosmos." And I'm like,
that's what happened
the
before.
Centurions are the ones who fucking started it. They're the ones who nuked the Cylon planet. So I don't understand, like...
They did.
What? Yeah.
The Cylons are the ones that started the original revolution.
Centurions are the ones that nuked Earth.
And then the Centurions were the ones that were attacking the colonies.
Yeah, so I was like, that was a risky play.
Yeah,
but okay.
But then you also have to think
that's why she was like, maybe all they needed to have was freedom.
The Centurions that murdered Caprica were ones that their will was bound by the skin job.
Yes, but the ones before
ones on Earth we know nothing about. And these are different Centurions.
No, we're talking. They said that
these Centurions have free will and got sent off.
Well, yeah, I agree with that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Ellen even says that. Like, she thought all they really needed was freedom.
Because we don't.
And Cavill didn't want that.
Yeah, I don't. Stop with this. Stop with the Centurion hate. They're good people.
They're just the working class. So I'm gonna jump back to the guesses. So remember the episode with the with Tyrell getting all the messages in his head while he's on the planet with the hyper ring? That's when we all guessed Tyrell.
Oh yeah. Okay. So we Oh yes.
Yes, Tyrell.
Okay. Tyrell wasn't a surprise.
Tyrell wasn't a surprise once he started getting messages in his head.
You guys fought me on that. I had to fucking explain my whole theory, and then you're like, you're right.
Then we also all thought of Dama too.
I don't think that's true.
Oh my fucking god. I'm about to pull up the fucking video.
There's clips.
I'm about to pull this goddamn.
This is about the same time we all thought Adama was one also, and Starbuck. We all believe Starbuck.
Oh yeah, I was riding really hard that Adama was.
Because
he just made bad decisions.
He was just making bad decisions.
Like that was it. He was just making.
It was.
Bad. Although we didn't get to see the results from his test when they asked him if he was a Cylon.
You still thought Gata was a Cylon. Yeah, you're right. We didn't see that. Gata is still on this list, by the way, for you. And then we actually still have the entire time this is happening. We have Ty as not a Cylon. Like we're like, there's no way he's potentially a Cylon. Like he cannot be a Cylon.
Dude, there was definitely a writer who looked at a message board that was exactly like the whiteboard, where it's like, guess who's a Cylon? Guess who's not a Cylon? And Ty was on not a Cylon for every single one. They're like, oh, dude.
Well, the biggest twist for me would have been if potentially Rosalind was a Cylon and she died before the resurrection technology was destroyed, and her dying, and then she was like, from the cancer, she just wakes up in a new body.
That would just make like 0 sense.
I don't know. That's one I would have enjoyed.
Like Ty's. Well, I'm still wondering how he aged, or if he aged.
He never aged,
which makes no sense because they've been friends for 40 years. But regardless, his kind of makes sense. You're like, oh, memory wipe makes sense. Rosalind though, she's dying, had to have the Cylon infusion, like all this stuff. It wouldn't make sense.
You're right. Do we have any other characters that died in this three-parter that we need to discuss?
Anders dying. I don't really think we have much to say.
No, I mean, his send-off was perfect. I mean, the character was shot in the brain, has, injury that he can't, work with. And the best way to utilize him was to make him what he was. He did have that sweet little line to Kara before they goodbyed. And him driving his ship into the sun with all the other ones was, I think, the most fitting death.
See you on the other side because she's the angel.
They're going to heaven. Which Baltar started preaching about for the last 5 episodes. Now, there's no other characters I could think of that did die that left an impact in the last 3 episodes as a character. So it's fun to say that Hot Dog survived too. Yay, Hot Dog, he did it. Now, moving through, do you guys have a favorite episode or most memorable episode that you can think of in these seasons that we watched?
Yeah, dude, the fucking I declared it like 4 or 5 episodes ago.
Oh, the one with the
Everyone going around with guns.
yeah.
They just go pew pew
I think mine was the Cylon revolt.
during the Gator revolt.
Mine was the New Caprica revolt.
Oh.
Where they escape New Caprica and they have like Adama drop in the Galactica to drop all the ships out of it, and then he whoops off.
Absolutely fucking
That was
stellar
that was
scene.
my favorite. all
Yeah,
time.
no, I feel like you're right. It was I can't remember exactly, but it was definitely in the last 11 episodes. that
with
was
Gato,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if it was with Gay. I just feel like very recently there was an episode
it
where
was the
I
Civil
like, that
War.
was yeah, I was just like
Civil
that was-
War. I said
Yes, you're right.
I was
We
like, this
both
is my
agree.
favorite episode, and
Yeah.
and then I think Mikey was trying to poke holes in it, or you, and I was like, I don't
There's
fucking
no
care.
way
It's
because
my favorite
I
episode.
it was definitely one of the episodes in the second half of this season.
I don't have to bring up your least favorite episode because we all probably had the same one or one of the ones where it was one of those side episodes that really didn't make a sense that we watched, like the one with like the like that weren't completely necessary. Like one of them being the black market one was kind of with the black market drugs.
I just wish that one had more flair.
Yeah,
How are you gonna do a black market episode without flair?
it could have been more fun.
Honestly, probably half of season 1. It was really slow at the start.
There was some really slow stuff.
There was some really slow parts.
It was kind of just more the misadventures of humanity
Yeah.
after the apocalypse.
They had to make decisions.
Yeah.
They weren't very good.
I wasn't sold by anyone yet. I had no idea where the storyline was going.
You're not wrong.
Great show. Season 1, I was not sold on it.
Yeah, there were
bullshit,
definitely. I'm trying to think though. Oh, I didn't like the one where Kara was like dogfighting with the one
Scar.
super smart.
Scar.
I was just like, okay. I didn't understand like
That's
what
what
the
we found out they
fucking.
revived.
It was literally a filler episode.
That's how we find out they were.
Also, when she crawled inside,
Oh.
we found that's a different episode. When she crawled inside the thing and flew it home.
3 or 4.
That's Matt Early.
3
Yeah,
or 4. That was a pretty cool. That one should have made so much sense to us, by the way.
Yeah,
because
she
not only
should have just let herself die.
No. Not only did the Cylons have blood, but they had oxygen. That should have made so much like sense to us in the beginning, but we didn't think about that. We're like, why do they have oxygen? Why do they have blood? They're fucking
What are
living.
you talking about?
The Raiders?
Yeah, no, we realized.
No,
I
we
mean,
didn't.
that reveal.
we did it.
No, we didn't.
We didn't say anything.
We
We
were
were like,
like,
oh, there's oxygen.
oh, that's weird.
We're like, why is there oxygen? And like, why is it bleeding?
Have you been hitting the head lately? Your memory's off.
Dude, we've been watching this show for so long. What do you mean?
Favorite character? You have one.
Baltar. Easy clap, Baltar.
I'm definitely not going Baltar. They redeemed his character for me.
Second
Definitely
close, Hilo.
not.
Who's second for
Hilo.
No, I want to say
Carl
Lee,
Atkinson.
but he just constantly made these stupid decisions. He was just an asshole for like no reason relevant to the story. I like where his character landed.
D's my number 2.
I guess I'm gonna go with Hilo, just
Hilo was a
because
great
Hilo was a fucking straight arrow, and he just kind of always stayed the course,
Hilo-
even when it was really hard. He actually probably also had my favorite filler episodes, where it was like, they're stealing from people in the markets. Hilo, you fucking go deal with it. And he's like, I fucking will, because I'm going to do the right thing. And they're like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing the right thing. Trust me. Remember that? So
True.
So yeah,
that's
definitely Hilo. I think
Did I hate Ty at any point? I
We
don't
did at the
think
beginning.
so.
We thought Ty was a dick in the beginning because he was a drunk asshole to Starbucks.
Yeah, but did I hate him? I know we hated him.
I just think
Ty at number 3.
I liked his
He's a great
character a lot.
We
Sure.
find out who he is, and he's like, I'm not a fracking Cylon. I'm a fracking colonial.
I'm not a
I was like, I love that. I'm a sailor. It's like, Jesus Christ, this man literally, he had like the biggest 180 because I thought he was just a hard ass like jerk off the entire time, but he really cares for humanity and stuff like that. And the reason why he's such a hard ass towards people like Starbuck and stuff like that is because he wants them to respect Adama, not him. Adama. He doesn't care if he gets the respect or not. He wants Adama to get the respect he deserves. And that's such a big thing for him.
It is. It also makes so much sense in retrospect why Ellen treats him so poorly is because he never put her first.
Fairly so.
He put Adama first.
I also want to point out that Tyrell...
They were about to have finally, in that scene, they also probably had the best flashback because that showed us the most of Ellen being like, all I want is to actually get to live my life with you. And then they didn't. Because Adama was like, hey, dude, I'm not quitting anymore. And he was like, nice.
Why was she in a coma on some random ship, though?
Because Cavill did that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cavill said he did that.
Cavill said he orchestrated
He said he did all of that. That was Cavill.
Yeah.
He said he did that.
No, he said that...
Cavill explained that. That's why she was on the ship, was because he put him there. And then the reveal of...
When was that?
When he was talking to her.
He said that he resurrected her so that... I don't know. No, I don't believe that. That doesn't make sense. How would Cavill sneak her in?
I thought we had already moved on.
Cavill's the reason why all the Cylons survived, all the Final Five survived the apocalypse, is he made sure they specifically did so that they would.
He reincarnated them without their memories, which is why they were on the planet.
Yeah, but he made sure that she survived so that she could be left with the remnants of Earth humans, so that she could find out how bad it is to be with humans. But instead, they all fall in love with humankind.
No, that was like 40 years ago.
No, that was now.
That was 40 years ago. How would... Because he killed all of them and put them to go live with humans.
Yeah.
Yes, we agree on this.
Yeah.
Ty was there for 40 years and did not die when we started watching.
Well, the apocalypse was he started the apocalypse because he wanted the Final Five to see the worst of humanity when they're such dwindled numbers. But as a result, they end up seeing the best of humanity because they end up banding together for the most part to survive this terrible outcome, I thought.
Yeah, but no, when Ellen revives for the first time, she has all of her memories again.
Yes.
Yeah.
If she died during the apocalypse, she would have resurrected with all her memories
I don't
again.
think she died during the apocalypse. I think Cavill just literally put her in a box.
Yeah.
You mean like went down to the planet, put her in a box, and sent her onto a ship?
Yeah. Or
That's ridiculous.
Or she died, and he used that memory thing where he's able to remove the memories, and he took out those memories.
That doesn't. I don't agree.
Just like the first time. I don't know. Fans can explain.
That doesn't make sense. I think she was just in a coma, and it was some wild writer's thing, and I hate it.
Well, I don't know, because they do explain, since he was the first, he got to watch them make the rest of them. So I don't know. I'm not willing to talk about it more. So.
Now, do you have I'm gonna be controversial here. Least favorite character
Besides Tori.
besides Tori.
Okay, I mean, mine for
Billy.
a large portion of the show is Baltar.
Which you are
Billy.
very valid in saying.
And that's why I wasn't even saying, like, I still, overall, like, if you look at his character as a whole, like, I hate his fucking character. But they did a good job rounding out his story.
Which I think,
Love Baltar.
if you ever watch it for a second time, I think the entertaining part is watching him become that good guy that we see.
I don't think so, because it took him fucking 3.5 seasons. That was only the last 10 episodes. Up until the last 10 or whatever.
Was it 10 episodes? It was the last one.
It could have been the first.
was the last
Yeah, yes.
It could have been the first.
Where he was like, I'm going to start giving to the needy. And then he's like, wow, that actually, like...
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It was the last 3 episodes when he finally was like, I'll stay. That was his moment of redemption. Everything prior was typical Baltar.
Yeah.
He even says it. Has there been a single time that you've done a selfless act where you didn't benefit? That was him literally saying, hey guys, everything that's happened the past couple of seasons is not his redemption. Wait till next episode.
I feel like half the actions Baltar made, you could just shrug your shoulders and go, who else but Gaius?
Which makes me like that his character was able to be redeemed and he could finally change and all of that stuff. But, like, I don't know. It was also, you're right. Like, it wasn't this growing arc of the growth of Gaius Baltar. It was the repetition and awful piece of shit that is Gaius Baltar until he finally decides.
Wait, that's a good
to break
point.
the
I don't
cycle.
think anyone has normal character progression.
Lee certainly doesn't.
Hilo.
Well,
Hilo's been kind of a star the whole time.
Hilo's like here.
Normal progression's like, shoo, shoo.
Yeah, no, I feel like Hilo.
No one really did that. No one had ups and downs.
D.
She's an angel.
She was an angel.
Sam.
Her and Callie, the only 2 people who didn't deserve it.
Callie cheated on.
Well, Callie
Hey,
had a rough life.
Yeah.
Callie actually was probably the most tragic character on the show.
I mean, Caprica 6 probably is
She also has.
She has probably the best and most consistent character growth.
You know,
She's like,
Boomer was trying.
She's trying to do the right thing. Then Kurt's fucking up.
Boomer was just a giant.
No, I think.
Yeah, no.
Boomer was cursive writing.
It was a little. It was pretty flip floppy. Which
Athena has the best, just straight like.
But that's the thing. Everyone's kind of like flatline and then like up down, or like maybe one person's like a straight line. No, it's got like
Tyrell. The Cylons do. Tyrell does.
Tyrell.
Ty does. Tyrell does.
No, Ty is the same character he was in episode 1.
You're right. He is.
except he starts strapping bombs to people, making them blow themselves up.
Him finding out he's a Cylon and gaining memories and realizing he's been with Ellen for all eternity. That was his moment of character growth. But otherwise, he was the same character.
He sacrificed his wife for the rebellion, which was the craziest scene. That was the most shocking scene to me. Besides
at the time, yeah, that was absolutely.
It's next to Tori killing Callie was the whole him giving her a poison, or him giving her poison was crazy.
Yeah, maybe Athena.
Athena had the most positive growth.
But she had consistent, because even her bad moments or bad episodes was her being too trusting. And they lied to her that Hera was alive, or they lied to her about whatever. I feel like she was,
and Sherazade was tested the most because she was trying to maintain that she would be a person, and she had so many trials. Okay, I think Athena does have like the most progression, and like the most like typical progression. Yeah, no, okay, all right.
Yeah, because Hilo starts off as a good guy and just kind of stays that way. He doesn't really falter. He strengthens his resolve and like learns that he is who he is, and
I do think it's funny that I was like, man, it's crazy that Anders is like a background character after he got rescued and everything, and then he turns into like the hybrid who had all the memories and powers.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that capstone on his arc, because I was bitching like 5-6 episodes ago. I was like, what the fuck is going on with Anders? Like, this man's just in the background. He should be a main character.
I love how
turns out he is.
I love how, especially after Kara disappears, he goes and fills time by doing the thing closest to her, which is becoming a pilot.
Their relationship was yes, but at the same time had really
toxic.
There was like
toxic.
He loved her
toxically.
Wait, who?
Anders loved Starbuck.
Yeah,
it wasn't a healthy relationship in any way. But they had those sweet romantic moments that are always in toxic relationships, that keep people in toxic relationships, with the big act of love or like this sweet thing where like, yeah, he becomes a pilot when she's not there.
I will admit,
makes sense.
I hate the love triangles.
God, I hated the.
I don't want to get into that. Oh my god.
Dee deserved better.
Why is all the women having tragic like stories? And one man had a tragic story on this goddamn show.
Dee and Callie,
Billy,
and Gata to some degree all like had pretty tragic stories. But Dee and Callie in particular, in my opinion.
Do I care about Gata's backstory and story? Not really. I'm gonna be honest. I really don't care about Gata. Because like,
I felt like
sure, he absolutely had trauma that like warranted his fall, whether or not his actions were right.
Yeah,
and, like he tried to like do the right thing at the end. Blah blah blah. I was not as invested in him as other B and C characters.
Agreed.
I think that there was. I think Billy's story was more touching. I didn't even really like Billy.
He was a fucking Cylon.
He was.
He should have been.
Oh well, Billy. Closing thoughts on this series.
Did we talk about it? I feel like we just gabbled.
I feel like we went all. I said it wasn't a sci-fi.
Which crazy, Dune's not a sci-fi. Star Wars isn't a sci-fi. There's too much mysticism.
Star Trek is.
Nothing's explained properly.
Good thing the show that we're watching, Fringe, and the other show.
Dune's definitely a sci-fi. What are you talking about?
You're the
Let's
one.
not get
It's
into
just
this.
your criteria, dude.
All right. This was a fun show, especially just because it was about the human spirit and the journey along the way of people.
And
Human
space
spirit.
opera.
Space opera.
Literally.
Yeah. I love how there was a space opera house, and we finally end up in it in the last episode.
They were in the opera house the whole time because it was playing out humanity on the Battlestar.
Dude, you were right. It was space dragons the whole time.
It's always space dragons.
Karathris
bro.
was a space dragon. That's what she was.
She was.
What if God's a space dragon?
Got it. That's
why he doesn't like being called God, because he's a dragon.
Oh God. Oh dragon. All right.
And we're spiraling.
Now I think
Like
it's
a
time
dragon.
to wrap it up. I don't think anybody else has anything else to say.
All right. Well,
talk for quite a while.
it's been a crazy journey watching the show.
Yes, and unfortunately, it's the end of somebody's journey right now.
Yeah. Yes, it is the end of my official journey, at least for now, for doing regularly scheduled content. It's been a lot of fun.
I'll have no one to bicker with now.
And I'm sure you guys will either really miss or feel super relieved that I won't be having crazy theories anymore, or say that sci-fi shows aren't sci-fi shows. Whatever the case, it's been a lot of fun, and thank you so much for watching along with us. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see what show these guys end up watching next.
Westworld and Fringe.
Westworld
yeah?
Is this
Yeah.
Oh, fire.
a lock?
Westworld and Fringe locked in.
Oh, Westworld is so good.
Westworld and Fringe is basically
Not in sci-fi though.
it is sci-fi. All right. Woo!
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
Thank
Joe.
you so much, and thanks again for recommending this show in the first place. And
Yes.
Fire shows.
Yeah,
so far.
yeah.
Met a wonderful community
I
through this
definitely
show.
would have never guessed it was going to end the way it did. So, I mean, I love that for the show. So,
Yeah, nothing much else to add except for thank you very much to our Patreon community for picking this show, as well as for picking Westworld and Fringe. If you are interested in supporting us after this episode is over, or if you do want to support us and watch this series again through full length, or join us for those new shows in full length, make sure you do check out our Patreon, which does have full length for this and other series. Support goes a long way with helping us, as well as just, showing your gratitude as we stick it through all these long series and have our emotions ruined and cry for characters that we become attached with over the last 8 months. It's going to feel weird moving on to a new series, but I'm so excited. And if you haven't watched those 2 new shows, maybe you should watch them with us for the first time. It's going to be a lot of fun. Otherwise, I'm Mikey.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Mike.
And we're signing off for Battlestar Galactica. Make sure you do check out the plan, which will be coming out soon. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Bye.
So say we all.
So say we all.
Bye.